She trusted him with her case, and he used it to destroy her life. When a respected lawyer stands accused of murder, no one expects him to defend himself using the victim's own evidence. But what happened next shocked everyone. Becky Smith was 29. A bright, small-town teacher from Oregon with an easy laugh and a habit of sending long, late-night texts to her friends about her dreams. Her life changed when she hired Thomas Gray, a local attorney known for his charm and record of never losing a case. The kind of man who smiled with his eyes but measured every word. It started as a simple legal dispute. It ended in tragedy. This is Behind the Crime. We post daily. Subscribe so you never miss a case. Becky Smith's life finally felt steady again. After years of saving, she bought a little blue house on the edge of Eugene, Oregon, a quiet street lined with maple trees and wind chimes that sang in the afternoon breeze. She taught literature at the local high school, spent weekends baking, and filled her journal with plans for the future. Italy in the summer. A dog by fall. Maybe a family someday. But one thing still weighed on her: the lingering property dispute with her ex-fiancé Kyle. The breakup had been messy, and the house was technically still under both their names. She wanted closure, and fast. That's how she met Thomas Gray. Thomas wasn't just any lawyer. He was the kind that made headlines for winning impossible cases. His office smelled of cedar and confidence, and when he spoke, people listened. "I'll take care of it," he told Becky with that calm, rehearsed assurance. And she believed him. At first, everything seemed normal. They exchanged emails, discussed strategy, and he even offered to cut his fee, said he wanted to help. But soon the boundaries blurred. Late-night texts that started with legal updates turned into personal questions. "Do you trust me, Becky?" one read. Her friends noticed she was distracted. She'd trail off mid-conversation, check her phone constantly, and once at a Sunday brunch she said softly, "He knows things about me I never told anyone." When asked who, she just smiled it off. "My lawyer's thorough," she said. Then, small things started happening. A letter arrived addressed to Rebecca Gray. A court filing appeared online that she swore she never approved. When she confronted Thomas about it, he brushed it off, said it was a clerical error. Still, her gut twisted. That week, Becky started keeping copies of everything: texts, emails, even voicemails. She told a coworker she was planning to switch lawyers, and mentioned she'd found something strange in her legal folder. Something she couldn't explain. The coworker remembered her exact words: "If anything happens to me, check the evidence." No one took it seriously at the time. Why would they? Becky Smith was cautious, kind, and always prepared. But beneath that calm, a storm was building, one that would soon consume both the victim and the man who promised to protect her. It was a rainy Thursday morning when Becky Smith disappeared. The kind of Oregon rain that muffles sound, turning everything gray and hollow. She was supposed to meet a colleague at school at 8:30 a.m., but she never showed. Her phone went straight to voicemail. By noon, her car was still in the driveway, driver's door cracked open, keys dangling in the ignition. Inside her home, nothing looked stolen. The TV still played a morning talk show. Her purse sat on the counter, wallet untouched. But on the kitchen table, police found something strange: her legal folder, open and scattered as if she'd been flipping through it in a hurry. On top was a note written in her handwriting. He said it would all be over soon. Detectives immediately reached out to Thomas Gray. He claimed Becky had stopped by his office the previous night to sign closing documents. "She seemed tired but fine," he told them, voice calm, almost rehearsed. He said she left around 8:15 p.m. But the building's security footage told a different story. Becky arrived at 6:47. Thomas's car left the lot at 8:32 alone. She was never seen walking out. 2 days later, hikers in the Willamette Forest made a discovery that ended any hope of a misunderstanding. Hidden beneath damp leaves and pine needles was Becky's body. Her wrists were bound with a torn silk scarf, and beside her lay a single high-heeled shoe, mud-splattered, its strap broken. Forensic teams combed the area. There were tire tracks, faint but distinct, matching the tread of Thomas Gray's black Lexus. Nearby, they found a fragment of paper, part of a legal letterhead bearing his firm's logo. When police searched his home office, the tension broke wide open. Inside a locked desk drawer sat Becky's missing laptop, her flash drive, and a printed draft of her unsent email labeled "Evidence." Detectives described Thomas's reaction as eerily composed. He didn't ask for a lawyer. He didn't deny knowing her. Instead, he said quietly, "I'll represent myself." And that was the moment everything shifted from a tragic murder to a psychological chess match. Because the man accused of killing Becky Smith wasn't just standing trial. He was planning to win it. The investigation into Becky Smith's murder spiraled into one of the most complex cases Oregon law enforcement had seen in years. From the beginning, nothing about Thomas Gray's behavior made sense. Most suspects in a murder investigation panic, deny, or plead the fifth. But Thomas? He smiled. He walked into interrogation like it was a business meeting. When detectives asked if he wanted an attorney, he leaned forward and said, "I am the attorney." Detectives quickly discovered that Becky's case file, once thought to be a simple property dispute, was riddled with alterations. Dates changed. Signatures copied. Motions filed under Becky's name without her knowledge. Every document led deeper into a maze of legal manipulation designed by Thomas himself. He wasn't just her lawyer, he was exploiting her trust to seize control of her assets. But the most chilling discovery came from Becky's own vigilance. Hidden in a folder labeled Backup, police found voice memos she'd recorded weeks before her death. In one she whispered, "He's not who he says he is. He watches me." The recordings captured the tremor in her voice, the growing fear of a woman realizing she was trapped in a game she didn't understand. Still, Thomas didn't waver. When brought to trial, he insisted on representing himself, arguing he could prove the system's bias. The courtroom turned into theater. His opening statement lasted 2 hours, filled with confident smiles and half-truths. He told the jury Becky had been emotionally unstable and fixated on him. He claimed she fabricated evidence to frame him for fraud, and when she realized she'd gone too far, she disappeared. But then, the prosecution introduced something Thomas hadn't accounted for. A forensic technician testified that several of Becky's sent text messages to Thomas were created on her phone after the timestamp of her death. The device's metadata showed tampering. Someone had used her laptop to mimic her texting style. And the last message she supposedly sent, "I forgive you," was written in a document on Thomas's desktop. Detectives also uncovered his encrypted hard drive. Within it were confidential client files and a hidden folder labeled Reference Materials. Inside were personal photos of Becky, recordings of their phone calls, and a scanned copy of her driver's license. Each file had been accessed within 48 hours of her disappearance. But then, came the breakthrough that sealed his fate. A former paralegal from his firm came forward anonymously. She said Thomas had ordered her to delete redundant recordings the week before Becky vanished. Police retrieved the deleted data from a backup server. One of the recovered files was an audio clip of Becky's final meeting in his office. In it, her voice trembled, "You forged my name. I'm going to the police." Thomas's voice followed, calm but chilling. "No one will believe you, Becky. Not against me." Then silence. That single recording shattered his defense. The courtroom fell still as the clip played. For the first time, Thomas Gray's confident mask cracked. But investigators would soon find something even darker, proof that the crime was planned long before Becky ever walked into his office. The trial of Thomas Gray became a national obsession. Every network covered it, every podcast dissected it. The sight of a polished defense attorney standing in court as his own counsel accused of murdering his client was surreal. Cameras flashed as he entered the courtroom each morning, suit pressed, expression unreadable. To the world he still looked like a man in control. For weeks, the prosecution built their case piece by piece. They painted a picture of a narcissistic manipulator who used his legal brilliance as both weapon and shield. The digital trail, the forged documents, the voice recording, it all pointed to premeditation. But Thomas fought every inch, objecting to himself, debating with the judge, twisting legal jargon into theater. The jury wasn't just watching a trial. They were watching a performance. Then came the day the prosecution introduced the final piece of evidence, an encrypted folder found on Thomas's hard drive. Inside, investigators discovered Becky's private photographs, her driver's license scan, and an unfinished will naming Thomas as a trusted executor. The dates showed it was created weeks before she died. When confronted, Thomas claimed Becky had asked him to draft it. But his explanation cracked under scrutiny when forensic analysts revealed the metadata. The file had been edited the night after her murder. The courtroom fell silent. For the first time, Thomas didn't have an answer. As the trial neared its end, the defense collapsed into desperation. Thomas accused the prosecution of framing him, the media of bias, even hinted that Becky's ex-fiancé was involved. None of it mattered. The jury had already seen through the performance. The verdict came on a rain-soaked afternoon, ironically, the same kind of day Becky vanished. After 12 hours of deliberation, the foreman stood and said the words everyone waited for, "Guilty on all counts." Thomas Gray didn't flinch. He simply straightened his tie and whispered, "Appeal." But the system he once mastered had turned on him. He was sentenced to life without parole. Still, even after the trial, strange questions lingered. 6 months later, a cyberforensics team revisiting the case stumbled upon an overlooked flash drive found in Becky's car. It contained a single, corrupted image time-stamped 2 hours after her estimated time of death. The photo showed Becky's car parked outside a remote cabin owned by Thomas. The lighting suggested someone else took the picture. When questioned, Thomas smirked and said, "You think I work alone?" Investigators never identified who captured that photo. No fingerprints. No camera metadata. Just another unanswered thread in a case that already felt too twisted to be real. To this day, some believe there was a second person involved, a silent accomplice who helped cover up the truth. Others think Thomas staged it all, even from behind bars, to keep control over the narrative. Either way, the story didn't end with a verdict. Because the truth behind Becky Smith's final hours may still be out there. Thomas Gray was the embodiment of what criminal psychologists call a grandiose narcissist, a person who doesn't just crave control, but needs it to exist. Every move he made, from charming clients to manipulating courtroom narratives, stemmed from his hunger to dominate and be admired. For Thomas, the courtroom wasn't a place of justice, it was a stage. And Becky Smith was never meant to be a client. She was meant to be an audience. When Becky began to question him, she shattered the image he'd built of himself, the invincible, brilliant lawyer who could bend truth to his will. That's when the shift occurred. Narcissists like Thomas don't tolerate exposure. They react with rage disguised as logic. In his mind, silencing Becky wasn't murder, it was restoring order. Defending himself in court was the ultimate display of that pathology. It wasn't strategy, it was ego. He believed no one could articulate his brilliance better than he could. Even as the evidence closed in, he relished the attention, the cameras, the endless coverage. Psychologists note that offenders like Thomas often equate infamy with power. As long as people are talking about them, they've won. His use of Becky's own evidence against her wasn't just a legal move, it was psychological warfare. By twisting her words and files to suit his narrative, he maintained control even after her death. It's a hallmark of manipulative abusers, the desire to rewrite reality until the truth itself serves their ego. To the public, Thomas Gray was a villain. But to himself, he was still the hero of his own story, misunderstood, brilliant, unbreakable. And that's the darkest part of all. Because to a mind like his, guilt doesn't mean wrongdoing. It means he simply didn't win. Becky Smith's story is more than a crime, it's a chilling reminder of how power and trust can be weaponized by the wrong person. She sought justice, and instead found herself trapped in the web of a man who believed he was the law. Her courage to question him cost her everything, but it also exposed the darkness hiding behind a polished smile. Thomas Gray used intelligence as his disguise and charm as his blade. In the end, his downfall came not from guilt but from arrogance. This case left you uneasy, it should. Evil doesn't always break in through a window. Sometimes it walks through the front door wearing a suit. Subscribe to Behind the Crime for more stories that reveal what people are truly capable of. Stay safe, stay curious, stay behind the crime.